Okay. Thank you for letting me talk, and Mr. Maynard will talk at the end about the pay plan, and I think I've tried to digest this with you guys, and that the pay plan could possibly be absorbed within the county budget. So therefore, the growth money is the first option that we have tonight. And what I prepared for you guys is kind of the first 3 pages really talk about our growth money on what I call general needs on those 3 pages. And as you look at those 3 pages there's no personnel normally on there, some overtime pay, but mainly it's fuel, communications, maintenance and repair, different items of that nature on that first one. As we talk about the amount of growth money that we have to spend is $2,563,919. The question was asked to me earlier. I would have thought we'd have had more growth money than that. And so just to be clear, we really have $7,610,427 in growth money. $3,528,000 went to the schools that they have put in their budget. I would take this opportunity to commend them for the job that they did. They gave us a balanced budget first time. They balanced their budget, and they took care of their pay raises and stuff within their budget, not for that to go unnoticed. They do have some considered in their needs list, but they have done a fantastic job in my mind. That's not criticism on anybody in the past. That's just saying that these people deserve a positive on that. So they got $3.5 million, and they've dispersed that within their growth. So they do have their growth money. The highway or the roads, see Ms. Sharon in the back, they got almost $500,000, 470,000 really. The debt service got 161,000. And sanitation got almost 900,000. So that kind of makes up all that growth money. But the 2.5 million is what we are concerned with tonight. So I grouped the first 3 pages, which you have in front of you there, which are general needs. That if you choose to accept all of them, is $407,000 if you choose. Now, just because I grouped them like this doesn't mean that you got to accept any of them. You're welcome to. When Mr. Marlowe gets ready, he will turn you loose and say, what do you not want to take out of the first 3 pages, and then you can start discussion. On the second 2 pages, pages 4 and 5, it is about personnel. And on that personnel are the extra people that have been required or asked for within your budget. And that totals $2.2 million in revenue. So if you were to add those two together and you decided to grant everything that was asked for, you would end up about $46,000 in the hole, okay? So if you choose not to cut that, Mr. Maynard would probably tell you $46,000 is not a whole lot considered in our budget, but I don't know that you'll pass each one of those. But that's kind of where you would end up if you choose to do that. And then on capital projects, as Mr. Marlowe said, right now we have about $13 million in capital projects, and we've listed the items there that would qualify to come out of capital projects according to Mr. Maynard. That's only about $230,000, so you have plenty of money to do those if you choose to do those. And then you have a fund balance of about $27 million, and there are 4 items there that were considered there, which is only $313,000. For everybody that has a regular sheet and don't have these digested sheets, one only line item move out of that was the $51,500 from the county clerk. That was to postage for the new tags to be mailed. Once that's done, there's no need to do it again. So there's no need for that to be reoccurring dollars. So we moved that to one-time funds. There's also a resolution that will be brought to you about No Vet Left Behind program that we took out of here. That's a $10,000, so that will be addressed at a later time for you. Then with this, you go to the Ag Center budget, which is out of the Ag Center, they want $54,669, and Expo $150,000. That's all covered by hotel motel growth. And as you well know, out of Ms. Fanata's, she continues to send you those updates. That has really grown quite a bit. So you have the money to do those if you choose to do that. The only thing really not in here would be, and just talking about the jail first, the sheriff says, I'm going to need about 10 people. He was willing to take less, but we asked, could we divide that 5 and 5, make it easy on us, and then good on him as well. He nodded his head. He's good with that if you choose to do that. And so that's in there. And then 3 ambulances was talked about, one for Mount Juliet, one for Lebanon, one for surplus. In other words, and that when you get over to, Joy said, over a number of ambulances in reserve, we got 18 or so maybe now, they need a 6th ambulance there. So those 3 ambulances can be taken from the ARP funds that we'll bring to you next couple of weeks. We'll bring all that. I did notice there was a ladder truck added that I didn't have any conversation with about anybody on that, but that could also be considered out of ARP if you choose to do that. Other than that, the rest of these items that were on your individual list have been included in these summary sheets. Just a brief talk, if I can, about, people will ask about school needs. They have been taken care of there. School needs on the other side, and we've talked about the land process, deciding wherever the school board wants to go. There is enough money in our debt service to cover that land purchase, which is about $11 million whenever you decide you want to do it and they decide where they're going to go. There is the insurance funds that are there, and Michael can give you more details about that, but the short version is we still need about $50 million to take care of the West Elementary School after insurance. West Wilson, excuse me, what did I say? West Wilson Middle? Yeah, my bad. Okay. So to take care of that school, talk to Mr. Maynard. That could be done on a 5-year capital outlay note. 90% of that's coming back from FEMA. That's why you wouldn't borrow that money on a 20-year note when you got that coming back. And then we have talked, me and Mr. Luttrell, about the next school to be built, and we believe and hope that we can absorb that within our rural debt service when that time comes. So I think that gives you hopefully a decent feeling about schools and their needs and about ambulances and the jail. And if I can entertain any questions, I'll be glad to do that, or I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, so at this time, what I want the Budget Committee to be looking at is the first 3 pages for growth money. And the first category is, county attorney on the first page. Second page, it says assessor, and on the 3rd page, it says WEMA. Is there anything on any of these 3 pages that the committee needs to discuss or have additional information about?
I think it's pretty self-explanatory on the first 3. I'm good with that. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm good with it.
Would you put your mic in there so we hear?
Oh, my bad. You hear me now? I didn't think they were working. They're not working.
Okay. Anybody else on the first? Just looking at the first 3 pages.
I sort of have a question about the 25,000 to tourism. I just don't know if it's worthwhile to spend, if it'll bring itself back.
I know that you say that, that question has been asked of me. Do we need to reduce that down, half of that, and see how it plays out? Or, I've been asked that question several times, but.
We already did. I think we already did. Wasn't it 50 in the beginning? I think they already cut it. No?
Was it more? No, I don't think so. Oh.
As always, I thought it was always.
Already been cut.
Well, if you want to put anything in the form of a motion?
Well.
Tommy, what are you thinking?
He's not here, is he?
Well, you got the committee chair over there. She can answer your question.
This is,
Will it bring 25,000 back in, Miss Sue?
I'm sorry,
Will it bring 25,000 back in?
125,000?
no,
23.
no, the 25,000 that, for advertisement for tourism.
Yes, as far as I know, he left that in there.
No,
Will they bring, can they get it back?
Oh, yeah, oh, definitely, yes, they can get it back easily through hotel motel, through marketing, everything, yes. That will double, triple itself.
And I,
There's no doubt in my mind about that one.
so the 25 for this is for advertisement for the race.
The Speedway.
That's why I asked, will it cover the cost of it? Will it bring it back?
I mean, I'm pretty confident it is. I mean, I've worked that race, I'm pretty confident that will come back. I've worked that race many, many years when it was here before, and it's even bigger now than it was then. So I have no doubt that money will return.
I understand, but I think the race is pretty well promoting itself, is what I think. Is why I'm
Well,
asking.
what Jason is doing is using a lot of that money to get people from the track because they come in early, to get them into hotels, get them in Lebanon, in Mount Juliet, shopping, buying gas, eating out, and things like that.
Do that anyway.
For the microphones, for the video, the microphones are working, so they won't sound out in here, but they're on.
Not as loud coming back into you, but everybody is being picked up who brings their microphone to their face.
Got it. Okay. Good to go.
okay, is there somebody want to make a motion concerning a change in growth money or to approve what is proposed?
You promise.
Well, I'm not going to write you a check, and that's what you're asking.
I think we got somebody wanting to ask a question.
You know, it's hard to, how do I say this? It's hard to be for sure because he doesn't get any of the hotel motel tax. But you see the hotel motel tax going up from tourism promotion, expo, and the ag center. So, I mean,
I thought the mayor said that he got hotel motel tax. Did I misunderstand that? Did you say that he got hotel motel tax, or did I misunderstand that?
It's
Say one again now.
it's not a percentage like the ag and,
the tourism is just allocated funds. They get no percentage, designated percentage of
Like I say, it's hard for me to understand what advertising is, when the people are already here, what's gonna bring them, what's gonna make them spend more money when they're already here?
Pulling them back down 840.
The only way I can answer is that getting them into the cities, into Lebanon, Mount Juliet, Watertown, spending money, shopping, eating at the restaurants, filling up with gas.
Instead of going to Murfreesboro.
Yes.
Exactly.
So they're gonna do that
Instead
anyway.
of going to Murfreesboro.
They're gonna do that anyway. If they're here, they're here.
And I promise you that, I cannot. I can just give you some records.
what you gonna do?
I'm gonna be quiet.
I get that.
Okay, what do you want to do?
And I do, Mr. Tommy, that does jog my memory. That was one of the things that he said, that if we advertise our people here where they're sitting on 840 and can go to either Rutherford or Wilson, the more we could advertise our people, the more those people would take a right coming out of there instead of going left. That was his thought. I'll take that. Yeah, I forgot that.
Time you, well, let's just let it go.
I got you.
Okay, is there a motion to approve growth money numbers?
Mr. Marlowe, Commissioner
I
Smith
was
had
just going
something.
to add a comment to that, they do have a booth out there. The tourism does have a booth all 3 days out there, and they do promote the cities and the county and things to do here.
But now, is this 25,000 in addition to that? also?
No, that's that 25,000 goes to that, to have to do that for marketing materials and things like that. I forgot about that, Tom.
Commissioner Smith has a question.
I just know that I worked it last year. I know that it's gonna be growing a lot larger than it was last year. So it's gonna be good. I mean, it's gonna bring business, seriously. It's coming.
As far as hotels go, are we gonna be able to have enough capacity for the people? That's my main concern. I mean, we really don't. So either they're gonna go to Murfreesboro or Nashville anyway, and even Mount Juliet for some of that, but they're still counting money, so.
And Mr. John just made a
Make a motion.
You ready?
Yeah.
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve growth money numbers. Any additional questions or concerns? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay. All right, the next 2 pages deals with extra personnel. Page 4 is county buildings, and page 5 starts off with WEMA. So if you would look at those numbers and categories and see if there's anything that we need to change or discuss.
I would like to discuss the WEMA part, but you go ahead.
Could we move the part about the additional employees till after we discuss the pay plan?
You could do that, or you could have it here, and then if the pay plan has something that affects this, we can come back and change this one, if that's something you needed to do.
I would be more comfortable in, let's deal with the pay plan and then worry about additional employees. That's the way I'm looking at it.
That'd be up to Mr. Marlowe.
Anybody else feel that way?
Yes, I understand what he's saying. He wants to take care of what we've got before we go out getting more, I think. I believe.
Well, let me just say this, if I understand it correctly from Aaron and from the mayor, is that the pay plan is gonna cost approximately $6.6 million, which takes care of benefits and everything. And what we have here is not going to affect the pay plan. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so I don't see any reason not to go ahead and cover this at this time, and like the mayor said, if we need to come back, we can come back. But I'd like to keep it in order unless somebody just insists that we do it a different way.
I don't think he's even listed on here.
Insist.
Did you hear what Mr. Marlowe said?
Said I would prefer to keep it in order and do this the way it is, because I don't think this is not gonna affect the pay plan. And the pay plan, the 6.6 million, is gonna take care of our people plus this right here, if I understand it correctly. And so there's no reason not to go ahead and cover this now. But like Mayor Hutto says, if we need to come back, we'll come back. Okay, you said
I do
WEMA.
have a question. I noticed on here on the WEMA, we got 3 operational officers, and then we got 3 lieutenants. I understand what a lieutenant is, but the 3 operational officers, are those captains that you're talking about?
These will be captain level, yes.
Okay, so that went on my sheet. And another thing, I also understand that you're looking for a new truck. That's not on anything that I'm seeing here, but I've heard conversation about it all day. So I asked a question. I understand both of them are very important. So which is more important, the 3 captains or the truck?
What
Well,
kind?
as far
I'm
as
calling it a
we
truck.
heard
What's
about
the official name of it? I'm calling it a truck, but it's
It's a
something.
Quint,
It's a what?
25-foot Quint,
Whatever that is. Truck to me, but.
which is one-time money versus personnel, which is reoccurring. So, I mean, personally, I don't see picking one or the other there.
Well, I guess the question is picking one or the other. If you need 26 employees and you're wanting 3 captains, who are these 3 captains going to supervise or whatever they do? I guess.
Just repeat what you're wanting me to choose between. I'm confused.
And that's what I'm asking you, which is, I understand, we might be able to do both, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out of the 3, which is the more important, the truck or the 3 captains. Because if you get the 3 captains and you don't have anybody for them to captain, I'm gonna put it like that. I mean, maybe I'm confused, maybe I'm
Well,
confusing you.
to begin with, the truck's not on this.
No,
No, we're not,
the truck, I mean,
It's-
I've heard conversation all day long about this truck.
but
about this truck.
that would come up under another category. It's not gonna be in this category.
Okay. I
So
just
it's
wanna
really,
make
there's
sure.
no choice to be made between the two.
3 captains in a truck.
Right.
Question. Is there a availability?
You gotta ask the
to use
chair, I'm
ARP
just looking
money?
at you.
Can we use the ARP money for the truck?
Mayor said we could.
The truck's not the issue right now. We're not even gonna
No,
talk about the
okay.
truck.
Well, I just wanted it to be brought up in conversation, because I've been on the phone off and on all day about the three captains in the truck.
Okay.
So we might as well throw it out there sometime somewhere, so there it is, when it's time, deal with it.
Okay, so is there any other, does anybody else have a question about the 3 captains though? Okay, go for it, Tommy.
I have a problem with hiring additional employees till we can fill all of your positions and keep them maintained full. And then possibly, once you fill those positions, then we could add these through the budget year if we need to.
Okay. May I come up and address that, please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for allowing me to come up here. So these personnel, let me start off by saying this. Since 2014, and you can look it up because I have the minutes of every meeting since 2014, we have been able to hire 1 administrative captain since that time. Look how many employees we have hired since then. Our span of control is not there. So imagine the road commission, and you don't have enough supervisors right here to operate these people down here. That's a problem. Well, that's one of our big problems right now, and has been for years. But since 2014, my plan that I turn in has had these people in it since day one, and they've always been denied. And that's kind of the shape we're in today. It's because they have been denied over and over and over. We can't accomplish our job effectively or efficiently without these people. And I have a problem with that, because if we have a problem internally, you have a problem, because they're your county employees. And we can't have that. We're all in a problem right now. Every big department, even y'all. Y'all are short on people. But being short on people does not explain, when we hire those people, having those people in place that you're already short from, because every one of them spots that I'm turning in for wear 4 or 5 hats, and I can prove it from any employee you want to ask. That's why they're in here, because we can't grow any more without them people. We just can't. So, I mean, that's why I'm requesting them. I mean, it is a dire need for us to get to where we want to be, is to have those employees.
I think this was also pointed out by the gentleman who did the pay study, that you didn't have enough administrative.
Yeah, I mean, just to explain that it's just not me. We've had 2 internal surveys done, none by administration. These are all by a lieutenant done one, and then I had multiple mid-level officers do a survey. Or I didn't have them do it, they come and ask me to do it, and I let them do it. So in there is every one of these positions, because they know that right now, all of them wear multiple hats, and they can't get done what they have to get done. So they're needed. I mean, they're needed to expand, or we're not gonna have the service that you expect or we expect. So that's my explanation for that.
Sounds good.
I will ask you this question.
Okay?
If we implement the pay plan as proposed, do you feel that you can fill those vacant positions you have and maintain them?
Yes, sir, I do.
Without question?
Yes, sir, I do.
So, let's say after the first of the year or down through next spring, you're standing there and we still don't have a full staff of what you have right now. And the only thing, and you're back telling us again that you can't pay your employees enough to keep them, is what we've heard the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, no offense when I say that. So what are we gonna do at that point?
We're not gonna be at that point. You can what if all day long, but we're not gonna be. If we're competitive,
My what if is a whole lot stronger than years, because those positions are empty right now.
Yes, they are. But if we get competitive, I already have people already from Putnam County fixing to apply. I have people from Rutherford. I have people from surrounding counties already stating that if that passes, they're coming here.
Hey, let me ask a question. I understand that these are administrative positions, but being that y'all are short in other areas, what are some other responsibilities these people could be involved in besides just administrative? I mean,
Yeah.
they could
But
drive?
Most of this is not administrative. Per se, yes, they're administrative people. I already have administration, the senior people.
Yeah.
It's because they're having to do the senior job and they're having to do the operational job of problems like engines, ambulances. My admin people are having to go out and work on the trucks, maintenance-wise, when things go wrong, getting them all lined up and things like that. So they're having to do both functions, which is already 2 hats there. And then one wears 3 hats because he does special operations. So those functions are already there, but yes, they can, if these get hired, yes, they can work in functions other than that until we get fully staffed, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so I got another question. So if we give you 1 captain now until you get full staff, can you live with that?
No, ma'am.
Question. I have a question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
How long does it take to train to be the captain? You're probably gonna hire from within to be the captain.
Correct. Most of them are already trained to that level. They just haven't
Right?
had a spot to
They're
be
already
promoted.
there. They just haven't advanced to the captain level.
Correct.
So you have the captains, so when you replace the people that are working on the line, so to speak, to be the captain, then you'll hire new people to take those places?
Yes.
It takes how long to get those people ready?
Anywhere from, by the time they do their orientation and the rides, usually 60 days.
That's if they're already qualified, correct?
Correct.
Let me cover one thing while I can. Commissioner Smith brought it up a while ago. That is, on the 3 ambulances and the Quint truck, okay, it can come out of ARP. If for some reason it don't, you have 13 million set aside in capital projects and 27 million in fund balance. So you have the money to buy them. If they don't qualify in ARP and you want to buy them, you got the money to, on the other 2 funds as well. So that just gives you the reassurance that, so we're not getting it out of here. So, hey, look, I ain't gonna get it all. That's not true. We've got the money to get it if you choose to do so. I think ARP is a good place for it.
So what are the chances of them not being approved by ARP?
That's just up to you. You're gonna be the ones that, the budget committee will be the first layer.
Because we got 14 million now, and we got 14 million coming.
Got 28 million. So you will address that first. Aaron will qualify it with the federal government, and the county commission will do final approval. Anyway, sorry, go ahead. I didn't want to make sure nobody was worried about that.
Okay,
You have a question?
I'm assuming that, county building, just stay right there. County buildings, animal control codes, IT, assessor, veterans, all that on that other page. There's not any questions about any of that? Good. All right, so we're really kind of stuck on, the captains.
Let me add this right quick to the sheriff that's there, sheriff, deputy, traffic person, warrants, clerk, secretary, and 5 correctional officers. That's what you submitted. They're all on here, okay? They are. Yeah, everything that everybody asked for is on these sheets. And only if you hear somebody take something off, so all you know, If you hear somebody take something off, then it's not on there. Otherwise, the sheets you got that's been approved are all gonna be approved, so you got the same copy we do. Yes, sir.
I just think more people had questions about the WEMA stuff than they asked phone calls I've been getting, so.
So, can I talk before you, Wendell?
Sir, yes, sir.
You don't mind? Okay, in regards to that, so can you explain, out of all them departments, why WEMA's the only one you've been getting calls about?
I've been listening, so I'm not in a debate with you. I'm just listening to what's being called to me and asked the questions to
Well,
me.
to me, that's kind of funny that I'm the only one that gets picked on
Well, don't take
when
it
I come up
personally,
here.
Don. I mean, if people have questions, I mean, other commissioners or whoever even gonna ask the question, so it ain't like.
Can you write down what those issues were and let me know?
They just felt like I said in the beginning, you want 3 captains, but you're short 26 employees.
Don't have anything to do with being short 26 employees.
Well, apparently it did with the person that's called, the people that are calling and asking. I mean, they felt like it was an issue. I mean, they said you want the captains, but you don't have anybody to captain, so basically you're stacking it, not my words, stacking your department, your staff, and you don't have the employees. I realize we gotta have 3 employees for 2 shifts, you know, the ABC shift, I understand all that. But that's the question, I've been on the phone off and on all day long, dealing with you.
You
Nobody
mind-
else has asked me questions but about you.
Do you mind putting that in the records, please?
Please do that.
That the only complaints that they have is about
It's not
WEMA,
anything personal, so don't take it
and they
personal.
won't tell me what the actual issues are.
I mean, it's not
No,
personal.
I think I made it plain what my issue was.
You did. She has not.
I can't because I'm asking you the questions that the employees, some of your employees, and some of the communities asking me. So that's all I know to do is bring the
Okay,
questions.
let me, just hang on. The thing is, I think, like the question I asked a while ago, these individuals, if they're brought on, whether you get 1, 2, or 3, their responsibilities, yeah, in the future, they're gonna be more quote-unquote administrative maybe than line workers, as somebody used that term a while ago. But at this point in time, if I understand you correctly, is that if they come on board, they're not gonna sit in the office, they're gonna be in the field.
Correct.
They're gonna be working, they're gonna be taking the place of somebody that's not there
Yes.
for a period of time. Hopefully not for long, but for a period of time. Yes, sir.
Real quick. 1 captain, a ladder truck. Are you good with that?
No, sir.
No, I asked that question a few minutes ago.
We're
and
not
you said
talking
no.
about truck.
Ladder truck's off the table.
I'm just asking.
Well-
I mean, right now, we're in a hostile situation right now.
Sounds like.
Yes.
Cyrus, taking minutes, would you put in the minutes that I have spoken to no one about this for weeks? Thank you.
No?
Okay.
Mr. Marlowe,
Yes, sir.
Director Cooper, let me ask a question.
Yes, sir.
With the 3 operational captains, is it a possibility that before we hire those, we approve them tonight, but before we hire those, not taking away from boots on the ground, that we get a majority or some of our staff back, so that if the issue is really thinking, okay, I'm down 26, that captain spot, hey man, I want that captain spot, now I'm down 29, because I want that.
Right.
And I would be in the same, I'd want it too.
Yeah.
We say, hey, could we, if we grant the 3 today, could we say, hey, we'll get so many of them done before we ever post those 3 captains? And I think, Mr. Tommy, would that help you?
I thought that was the question I asked to begin with.
Can't ask questions
What-
about
I got that. I guess I dumbed it down for me, sorry.
What number would you be looking at?
That's Director Cooper's call. I was just asking that question, because I could see that as a
Right.
concern for me.
Yeah, no, that's what technically I was gonna do anyway, is get
Okay.
most of the
Because that'd be the first one.
staff back up, yes, before you do any promotion or make 3 more slots down. So, I mean, that's only
If you could make that.
logical.
I mean, that's what I was talking about, maybe at the first of the year, or whenever those positions, the majority
Mm.
are filled and being maintained, people's not leaving, you're not coming every
Right.
week with a report that we've lost so many.
Yeah, my goal is to have all stations back open, have plenty of people on shift that, like I said, no stations are closed, and you still have enough people to maintain your units, then that's when you do your promotions.
What number would you try to get to?
I knew you was gonna ask that.
Yeah, you don't have to answer it. I just asked. I just thought
Yeah,
that might be.
I'd have to look at the numbers for those stations to be open and kind of see where that number's at. Off the top of my head, I do not know.
And you're the director, that's your call. I just thought that would maybe ease some of the heartburn
Mhm.
and get it done.
Mr. Chairman, I have a comment.
If,
I think Joey runs this department, okay? He says he needs 3 or 4 captains. He probably needs 3 or 4 captains. And as he gets these people on board, he's gonna promote the captains as he needs them in those positions. If you give him the authority to do it, I'm sure tomorrow after the budget's passed, he's not gonna promote 4 people automatically if he doesn't have any people to supervise. That's the way I would do it if I were
He's
Joey.
asking for new positions, though, John, where we're funding them.
Well, what I'm saying, you fund the position's not even gonna be occupied until he has more people to supervise. That's what I'm hearing him saying, that's all.
so,
You got somebody behind.
so 8, if we set a number at 8, okay, you fill 8 positions, you can fill a captain. Then fill 8 more, and you can fill a captain. Would that work?
Yeah, we can work out something like that, yeah. I mean, as long as those numbers, yeah. Like I said, like I said before, as long as all stations are open and we're maintaining that without closing anything, then yes, I can say we can start over here. But only until that part's done.
I mean, I'd be good with, when you can come tell us those stations
So-
are staying open, and there's no worries. I mean, I don't care if you hire them all 3 at that time, but I just don't see how you go to taking on additional employees when we can't.
Yeah, I'm not gonna hire
That's my whole motive.
tomorrow, right up those 3 and be short even more. Yeah, no.
When we approve this, we start paying for them right there.
Yeah, that's true, yes.
See where I'm coming from?
Mm-hmm.
We've allotted the money. We've allotted the money out there.
Just like the extra positions last year, you were never able to fill them. And no fault of yours or anything wrong, but that wound up being spent in overtime. That's all I'm looking at now.
Okay, yes, sir.
What will their job titles be, and what will their duty assignments and responsibilities be? I'm assuming you're gonna have them in 3 different areas. I know the big one I was at was compliance we were getting into, but I don't know what they are now, so can you share that with us? Yes, sir.
For, let's see what I did with it. Hang on. One would be fire captain, pretty much, fire chief captain. The purpose of this classification is to assist the fire chief with managing and administering day-to-day operations related to WEMA as it pertains to the fire and special ops divisions of the department. The position will work directly with the fire chief and administrative staff. All actions of this position are under supervision, guidance, and direction of the fire chief. And then there's a whole list going on, and requirements, years of experience, work as a fire safety officer, have to have fire instructor level 2, active member of the special ops team, operate a computer, retrieve, review, and modify data, verifies, operates a variety of equipment and tools associated with fire protection. These include motor vehicle radio communications equipment, emergency radio systems, protective equipment, and various other emergency equipment. So that would be one. Then the same thing under the EMS chief, pretty much the same thing, just reports to EMS chief. Same thing with training, manages and administers the day-to-day operations related to WEMA as it pertains to training. This position will assist in scheduling, instructing, designing, and implementing training classes for the department.
What you're saying, I think, is you're gonna have an assistant, training officer, and assistant.
Correct.
Fire chief, assistant.
Right.
Be their assistant.
There will be assistants, yes, but there'll be actual captain level people.
They're the right captain.
What'd you say? I didn't hear what you say about, what'd you say? I'm
I
sorry.
just said, the assistant, way you described it to me, there'd be an assistant to the fire chief. You got one fire chief sitting right back here, he doesn't have an assistant to spread the duties out. Assistant to the EMS, emergency medical, and assistant for training. That's what he described to me. That's correct. Is that correct, Nick?
Yes, sir.
Okay, understanding that these positions will not be filled immediately, they'll be filled as other employees that were down are employed or hired. Is there any other discussion concerning WEMA?
Yes, fire marshal.
Mhm.
The way I understood the other night, we don't have any kind of fire policy in place in the county, correct?
Correct.
So, do we have that? What do we need a fire marshal for?
Well, that's true. You have to have the commercial and fire codes along with it, yes.
Fire code in place, I'd understand, but we need the fire code before we need a fire marshal.
I thought they was gonna share that. You was gonna share the
Yes,
fire marshal.
yes, with Tom.
What you're saying.
But you still have to
Right.
have the codes in place before you have a need for it. He can't enforce anything if you don't have a code.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree, yes.
I'd like to see the fire marshal taken off for the time being completely, till we have a fire code.
Mayor Hutto, did you want to address that in any way?
I can address it. If you have the need and the want to have someone to go out and check the commercial buildings that would bring in revenue, and you want a fire marshal, that's one and the same. If you choose to do that at some point, once you get the codes passed, and you want to earmark this money out of growth, so it cannot go anywhere else until you choose to let it go, then I think that's an opportunity. If you take it away, then it'll be another year before we can revisit it, as we've talked about before with with that. So I think that would be my question to you. If you want to do that, Tom felt like he would, I asked them to get together and come up with who they thought would want, and they said we can take one person and use them both instead of getting two people. Yep. So if you want to wait until, if you want to earmark it, is my question really. If you want to earmark it, we don't spend the money, we earmark it. When they get the codes and everything, they both come back, present to the budget committee and say, hey, here's the plan we got for this person. The codes have been adopted.
Any kind of timeline for
They don't,
how long would it take?
That would be more in Tom's as far as the commercial, building codes and then up to him on the fire codes.
I mean,
You got two questions.
Can I add something here? Being on the EMA committee, I'm very familiar with this situation, and my understanding is that this job is actually already occurring. That we have Chief Hobbs and Captain Cowan are spending 2 days a week doing fire inspections for commercial buildings in our county right now. So this is already happening. So these, again, are hats that these people are wearing on top of their daily duties. And the idea here is to actually hire a fire marshal, put in full commercial codes, and actually be able to turn revenue doing what they are already doing right now for free. So if you take out the fire marshal, then
That word free bothers me, Lon.
I know.
They are employees.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is that you can actually charge for the inspections that they are doing. And we are not charging for that because we don't have,
Place.
we've already discussed about charging them, because I asked somebody here to look at the city of Lebanon, so we don't.
Right. I understand that. It's not in place because we don't have the proper personnel. So if you cut this, then we're yet again for another year not going to have the proper personnel. I mean, that's what Lebanon Fire, if you want to look at a good example, they already have this set up. And they are turning enough revenue that they're paying for 4 employees plus their vehicles. So if we don't do this, then we're continuing to leave the job duties on top of our current personnel who are doing, I don't even know how many hats at this point Chief Hobbs wears, at least 5. And if we hire this person, then we're able to actually move in the right direction and be able to step up and go through and have commercial codes. And we have a significant number of commercial buildings.
Okay. what's your
Thank you.
Real quick, I've heard the mayor say, how much revenue are we losing if we don't have this position? How much can the mayor, or how much can the county make on this if we apply this to the county?
You have 14,300,000 and something square foot of warehouse in Glable, Duke Drive, which Duke's kind of Lebanon City. We have all the Glable, we have all the commerce out there in that area. Lebanon Fire comes in, what they do is an impact fee. They come in with a new construction building. I was trying to explain to some of you earlier. And they impact that new construction coming in. But also what you do is your annually inspections. Now, I'm not asking you to go in there and create a whole division at one time. You start that one guy off in that position, the fire marshal. He does his inspections. We work that 1 year annually, see how much money he's going to bring in. Lebanon City's done this. I wish Dow was here tonight. It took them a while to get there. They're a little bit behind times, just like we are. We're trying to catch up and catch up to this big commercial growth we have out there.
How many do they have at this point?
Right now they have 4, and they started the program 3 years ago. They started with 1 guy, built it up to 4.
And they pay for themselves?
They pay for themselves with their vehicles and then some. And what they did along with that marshal's position, they also implemented their fire prevention division, which is your ISO points for your county insurance. So you have multiple, that marshal will be doing multiple things other than just inspecting buildings. And we're not like Tommy was worried about, and I'm worried about too. I don't want them coming in your average mom and pop shop wearing somebody that's been there 30 years running a family-owned business or whoever. This is for new construction coming in. Your big warehouses, Nissan, Amazon, Permobile, which they have that. Sir?
Residential also?
No residential, it's commercial only. 2018, right now you are working on 2000, and I wish Tom was in here tonight, I believe 2012 International Building Codes. Yeah. We are way behind. We can't jump. Oh, you can, but you're going to make every contractor in this county mad. You're not going to jump to 2000, right? Well, trust me, we would deal with them every week. You don't want to jump to 2022 building codes. What we want to do is meet them somewhere halfway in between to 2018. That gives them somewhere time to catch up, which most of them already following by our building codes. We submit supplement plans every week. Daniel does plans review, 4 days a week? He's supposed to be doing Homeland Security and FEMA stuff, and FEMA. So yeah, all of us wear multiple hats. But what we're trying to do is get this one position put in place to generate money, and let's see how it goes. If it does well, we might add additional guy on later on. Let's see if it's going to pay for itself. But I'm pretty sure if we put this position in, get the fees done first thing we got to step into, we just can't jump and say we're going to create this position. Let's adopt the codes first. You were correct. Get the codes adopted. Let y'all go through them. See if this is what you want to do. Talk to your builders. And they're probably going to say, yes, they're already following it anyways. Let's get the codes adopted to the county court. We have to do this. This ain't something we need to do. It's something we must do as a county. And Tom will agree with me on this. Let's get the 18 codes adopted, then implement the marshal position, then turn around and look at doing your inspectors underneath the marshal later on. And that's pretty much copying what Lebanon City, Mount Juliet City's done, and Nashville, and they got divisions. We're asking for one guy to get it started.
Okay, so it'd be fair, based on what you just said, to do what Mayor Hutto said, is earmark these funds for this position and not do anything with it until we get those codes in place.
We We have to adopt the codes first.
Okay.
One more question. One more question. I know y'all wish I'd shut up.
Yeah.
Where does these fund, I get it, I understand.
I didn't say
got-
it, don't
I get questions, whoever said it, but
say it.
if we revenue if we generate these funds, where do they go to?
Where do y'all want them to go to?
General fund.
Y'all want them to go to the general fund? You want them to go to the pay for the men, or, I mean, it's up to you guys. That's what y'all get put in this place.
Go into general fund.
Yes, sir.
So Chief, the number of buildings that we have in the county right now that the city don't cover, they don't go out into our county and
Correct.
cover, they're ours. And you said there are how many square feet of county buildings?
14 million is what I was counting on my Google Drive a minute ago. 14 million square foot.
So there's plenty of buildings in the county for us to go and generate revenue off of.
Guys, y'all got me sitting on top of a Roman candle. It's waiting to ignite. If one of them buildings do catch up there, I got one that's got a blast room in it. Other words, if it explodes, we're all gonna feel it. I don't care where you live at in the county, you're gonna know it.
But most of those buildings got sprinkler systems in them too.
Correct, and that's why I want that marshal in there, and that's some codes. We fight more fires with a pen and paper than we will ever with a truck.
And also the cities, Mount Juliet and Lebanon, assist if by
That's correct.
catastrophe.
I called mutual aid in, and they will be there, just like Mount Juliet City.
Mr. Fields?
Yes, just a quick comment. I did a poll of District One, various people. It wasn't Gallup and it wasn't any of the news services, it was just me. But I said, list the top 5 priorities for the budget committee. Number 1 was the pay plan, which we will address later. Number 2 was health, WEMA. Number 3 was safety, sheriff. Number 4, believe it or not, was animal control, and number 5 was education.
Wow, that's really crazy.
So,
Put a
so
dog before
give
education.
Director Cooper what he needs.
Well,
Yeah.
can you address how they charge, how the city of Lebanon charges? 'Cause
I-
the budget committee knows how much revenue you're gonna generate.
I have a sheet over there. Where's it at? I already had the chief mayor print me off the sheet.
Well, that would be really something for Tom to answer.
It would be, yeah. And it's gonna be Tom's and the codes department getting together, implementing that in.
That gets
I
back
like
to
that.
the statement you made, right?
Yes, sir.
We've got to adopt the code before we do
Need to adopt
anything.
the 18 codes before we can move further.
That would make sense.
And here's a sheet like they have right here with the price sheets. Y'all will,
You must email that to us, have it emailed to us, that'd be great.
Okay.
I think Tom Brashears told us that he could do this pretty easily.
Yeah.
Because he take a generic one and slide us in to suit us.
Right.
So you could get this up and running pretty quick.
I think he said, didn't he say 3 months?
I think that sounds right.
We'd be ready to do this in 3 months.
Well, the money will sit there for 3 months then.
Yeah.
Tommy's got a question.
Well, that was my question, Darren, is how do we set these funds aside where that's the only place they can go?
I think the best way, Tommy, is probably to obligate it for the position like you're doing right now. You know, you can always, because you put that position in the budget, I realize it's rare that it's actually done, but in most cases, it doesn't have to stay there. If it wasn't to come to fruition the way you wanted it to, and you wanted to pull it back, in 12 months, you could probably do that.
You just have to move it around and earmark it, so to speak.
I would be fine with that.
Okay. Would somebody make a motion with that in mind?
Do we need one motion
Just one. One.
or just for the fire marshal thing, right?
No, for the extra personnel.
All right, a motion granting a fire marshal position with the funds being held till we adopt a fire code, and the 3 additional lieutenants to be hired.
Captains.
Lieutenants or captains?
Captains.
Captain, excuse me. Be hired. Joey, you help me here now. I'm not trying to put you under the spot.
I thought somebody said
you
for
want
every
to?
one captain, they'd hire 8
Well,
employees.
that's what I'm asking Joey. Can he live with that, or, I mean, I'm not trying to nail you
I
down.
really don't want, let's do it this way, the best way to word it. Because I really don't want to do 1 per 8. Let's just say when we can maintain our stations, our current stations with personnel. And that way, like I said, they'd all be open for a certain period of time, knowing that they're not going to be shut down anymore.
When you can keep a minimum of 15 positions open instead of 26, is that?
Right, yeah, yeah,
And keep all our stations open. Could you live with that?
okay, yeah.
So 15 would put 3 on ABC for each station, correct?
6, 12, 18.
Okay,
So 18 instead of 15.
Important that.
did you get that?
He's trying. Bless her heart.
So Tommy, repeat that. Repeat that for our secretary.
Would be great.
Dangerous, 18.
You're good with that, 18?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay. So you got the part about the fire marshal.
Yes.
Okay. Then for the additional captains, then he can maintain a minimum of
18.
18 empty positions. And all stations stay open.
Mm-hmm.
24 hours. ABC shift, so to speak.
Yes,
And you're good with that?
yes, ma'am.
So nobody's picking on you, so we just trying to do what's right here.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve all the extra personnel with some earmarking for the fire marshal and conditions for the 3 captains. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion need to take place? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, capital projects. It's number 3, got county buildings, IT, veterans, PEG Studio, and Ag Center. Is there anything in that category that deserves discussion?
So I won't be picking on anybody. Did we talk about the new vehicle replacement, or do we have a vehicle that, with IT, that is usable? Just, I mean, I know $40,000 is a drop in the bucket of what we're talking about here, but.
After tripping over a chair, I clumsily fell into.
Sounds about right over there. Sounds about right.
Again, you're asking if there's another vehicle available somewhere else?
Yes. And I know we'll buy it on state contract, but I'm just wondering. Just
Okay,
asking.
the mayor says no, there's
No.
not one available.
The extra ones out there, to my knowledge.
Okay. Just want to ask, because I know I get the comments all the time. We got new vehicles all over the county, so just ask the question.
May give them mine.
I know I've been told, but the 65,000 for rewiring supplies for IT.
Yeah,
Sounds like now,
it is. I'm sorry.
I thought I was told that was for Judge Tatum or somebody's.
Now, 44,000 for Judge Tatum to redo his courtroom. The 65 for them is to rewire. I apologize. He said it the other night in here.
They did.
Yeah.
I do not remember.
Still a big number.
I know you said something about wiring out.
I do not remember, sorry.
Is that just for rewiring supplies or the cost of rewiring?
That's a rewiring of a network, 2 or 3 networks that he's got.
Okay, so it's not just supplies?
No.
No, that's for labor as well?
Yeah, my bad.
Okay.
And it might have been something about we had to pay for some kind of licenses as well. Did it include?
That's not in this one. That's in your other general fund. This is just rewiring exclusive.
I don't know if they gave us a better description. When we give you the needs list, we try to summarize as best we can. So I don't know if they gave us a better description in what they sent us or not.
I got it right here.
Check.
All it said, no, here it is, rewiring.
Rewiring supplies, that's all it said.
That's what it says here.
Yep.
I just meant on the paper that they sent us. I don't know if they sent us anything more than that, what they attached in Skyward. Don't think so.
Okay, so any other questions? Can't answer that one, so I just know that
I can get him on the phone if you need me to.
it's not just supplies, it's for labor for doing the rewiring job.
CPU holds of him, Mayor, it's $65,000.
That's not a
It's my
whole.
fault for not
Is
having a
that for
note,
Judge Tatumson?
but I
No.
don't have a note in one of these.
You spread out there, buddy.
Hey, Mr. Ken, can you help me right quick?
I don't.
Hey, the 65,000 for rewiring of supplies, remind me what we're doing on that. Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on one second. So it's the network closets that we have, the new equipment that we got are pushing the cables to a speed that they cannot handle, and that's the part that has to be rewired. Hang on, go ahead.
That's the speed of the network.
How many closets do we have on that?
159.
6 closets that would be rewired for the cabling to handle the upgrade of the equipment that we put in there, because the wire itself is not sufficient.
What
to-
buildings?
To what's that?
What buildings?
6 of them, what buildings? Two at the Ag Expo and Ag Center. One where the courts are, up on the sheriff's office. Not at the sheriff's office, where the courts are up there, not your place.
I thought he said something about that.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. College Street
More courts.
has,
Oh, that's a lot of, that's a lot of
how
different
about the one in the
locations.
courthouse here?
I can see where 65,000 is probably not a whole lot of money for
And the
that.
one at, and the one in the courthouse here.
In here. Okay.
Courthouse, the sheriff's and all that.
Hey, thank you so much for taking my call. I appreciate it, okay? Thank you. Okay.
Okay, is there anything else in that category? Entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve capital projects as stated. Any other questions or concerns? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, fund balance. You have planning, codes, library, and county clerk.
Well, we know we definitely need the codes.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, one question. That, you said earlier that 51.5 is just one-time money, right?
Just to mail out the new tags.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
I have a motion and a second. Any other questions or concerns? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the fifth category is dealing with Ag Center. You have fuel, other salaries and wages, and maintenance repair for a total of $54,669.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other questions? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Expo Center, got extra personnel, utilities, travel, and advertisement. For a total of $150,772.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion. Is there a second? I'll second it. Any questions or concerns? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Okay, thank you very much for that. Aaron, if you would, talk to us about the pay plan.
It's one thing if we're sitting around the table, it just feels odd to me to look down, side to side. So, the main thing we're gonna be looking at is the first page that you've got in there, and we'll go and flip through and look at some other pages. There's several things I wanna talk about, but the main thing, if you look at that middle column where it says 2022 projected, you've got a full projected version of the 2022 budget in there, line by line. This is the last page of that, but I just thought it easier just to give you the one page.
Page 48 is, you're talking about the last page of page 48?
Page 48 is the last, well, this, not, what I'm saying, I'm sorry, Mr. Jackson. What I'm saying is it's the last page of this document. This, what you have,
Okay.
what you have here is the
So
last page of this.
Page 48, okay.
Yes, I'm sorry.
That's no problem.
My fault, I was not clear.
That's fine.
The, I would not have thought, but my projection right now is we end the year with about 7.8 million. That coming on the heels of ending last year about 10 million to the good. Now, I want to give you a little history before you get too giddy, okay? Going back to 2017, now let's do 2018. So in 2017, you had a fund balance of 9 million. At June 30 of 18, that increased to 10.6. You went up $1.6 million. In 2019, you went from 10.6 million to 10.9 million. You went up $300,000. From June 30, 19 to June 30, 20, you went down 1.3 million. And then last year with COVID, you went up 10 million. So the county financial calendar is now officially divided, as the Christian calendar is, slightly differently. BC is before COVID. AD is not Anno Domini, it's after Delta. Okay? So we've seen 2 years for two reasons. Okay? The first year, what were we primarily worried about? Or what did I talk about a lot? I don't know if we're going to be able to keep everybody employed. We put contingency plans in place. Everybody tightened their belts, didn't spend money, and quite frankly, the federal and state government put a lot of money on us to try to help with the problem. And we saw tremendous growth from that. And likewise, this year we got another good chunk from the state. And I think what's caught us this time is the ugly words like resignations and supply chains. And I think that's a big part of what you're seeing going to your bottom line. So I did a sheet. Actually, I have to figure out where I did it. Over here over on this side. Okay. It starts with your excess of revenues over expenditures of 7.8 million, and then it does a normalized shortage for WEMA and the sheriff. I talked to Brian Newberry and said, Brian, how many people are y'all normally short when you're fully staffed? He said 3 or 4. And I asked Lance Howell at the sheriff's department, how many people are you normally short in the jail? And so it was about 5 in the jail. We're down 20 right now. On that second page, you'll kind of see a computation there. May make sense to you, may not. So on the bottom part, it's 5 short in the jail, and I bumped it up to just being 10 short on the paramedics and EMTs. At any given point when he's fully staffed, he may be as many as 10 people down, okay? So your normalized shortage would be about 1.6 million. So I back that off because I figure you're going to have to pay for those people, right? They're coming back. We're not going to stay down 26 positions, okay? Then from there, I've got restricted revenue. So if you turn over to that third page and you look at the items that are highlighted in blue, those are all restricted accounts that you can't use for anything but what the law allows. So we can't go pay payroll with them. We can't go buy equipment with them unless it's specifically allowed by the law that creates those restrictions. So that is 1.3 million we can't use. And then we have one-time revenues that won't be coming back. those one-time revenues did not get highlighted exactly as I would like, but they are as follows. They are $911,000 from the state, $300,000 from the sale of the adult high school, and something else that I'm leaving out right now. But it was $1,930,000 that's not coming back. It was one-time revenue. So that gets me down to $3.8 million that I can say is truly surplus for this year as far as recurring revenue. Cost of the pay plan is 6.695. Yep, 6.695. So that puts me back to what we've been talking about for a while. How do we make up the difference? And this is what I have decided to propose. What I propose is on another sheet. Sorry, I would have given that to you from the beginning. Because Tommy always complains I don't give him enough paper. So you need, the general fund needs a little over 3.5 cents. It needs $2.2 million to make up its share of the pay plan. Solid waste needs 0.0254 cents, which is just $16,000. And roads needs 0.3329 cents, which is $205,000. Now, that is in solid waste and roads, I'm applying their growth money to what they need first, off the top. Okay? So, you know, that's the total that I need. I need 3.9455 cents, which is $2.5 million. And what I'm proposing is that you take that, if you look over there next to my general fund column, you see debt service and you see the negatives. I'm proposing that you take that out of those pennies away from debt service. And that you replace those pennies with transfers from the capital projects fund, either 2 or 2.5 million. So if adequate facilities tax continues to come in like it has, you don't actually lose anything in the debt service fund. So what do you lose? Well, you've got $12 to $13 million sitting in your capital projects fund, so you can still do some stuff. But eventually you lose the ability to go, let's go build whatever out of capital projects, right? That's what eventually we sacrifice. If you look at this page, 151, it's going to be a few pages in. You keep flipping through there, you'll find Fund 151. Everybody find it? First page, like for 2022 projected, you took in $27.6 million. In debt payments, you spent out $23 million. You had a $4.1 million surplus in the general debt service fund. With the plan taking the money away, we also take its growth money, so it turns out to be right at the $2.5 million. You still wind up with a $3 million surplus. So you have not really lost a tremendous amount of borrowing capacity. And if you look at 189, you basically wind up in the hole a little bit. I could say anywhere between $43,000 and $543,000, depending on whether I make that transfer $3 million or $3.5 million, depending on how much I decide that transfer needs to be, or you decide that transfer needs to be. So the other thing that I would point out to you, I know we've got needs from the school system, particularly with regards to land purchases, and I believe it's West Wilson Middle for the tornado damage. So according to Ashley McAnulty, our borrowing cost now is $70,000 per million, which is, I don't know, financial advisors seem to like that kind of thing. Before it was $55,000 per million. Okay? So you're trending in a fairly negative direction there. But at $70,000 per million, we needed $50 million to do West Wilson, I believe. That is $3.5 million. if you looked at Fund 152, which I apologize, 152 is not labeled the way it's supposed to be. It'll be right after 151 in your packet.
Okay.
Okay? It'll be the one that, if you look in that account ID, you'll see it says 152 in there. If you flip to that second page, and y'all know what's happened with sales tax collections, and a primary recipient of that has been Fund 152. Okay? So Fund 152 had a $4.4 million surplus last year after paying its debts. It's projected to have a $4.7 million surplus. That will cover your $3.5 million renovation or rebuild to West Wilson. It will probably also cover a good chunk of the $770,000, which is the 70,000 times the 11 million at 70,000 per million. So,
Aaron, would that 70,000 per million, is that for no, it doesn't matter how long you borrow it for?
they're figuring 20 years.
What if it's 5?
I'm afraid of the 5-year plan, but I understand. I cannot answer the question how that would affect.
Because aren't we gonna get about 90% of that back from?
We are, and here's what scares me about the 5-year plan, okay? And it's no big deal if I think I can carry a capital outlay note as far as 12 years. Can you imagine what the annual principal and interest payments on $50 million would be over 5 years?
Would we have the option of paying it off early if we go 20 years?
The only way you could pay it off early, I believe, would be to talk to the financial advisor and see if there's a way to put a 5-year call in there. In other words, we have the ability after 5 years to call the bonds.
Okay.
I'm not sure what the best answer is on that. I'm not, okay? The capital outlay note scares me a little bit because, and I've had some good dealings with FEMA, but I've had some really difficult dealings with FEMA.
What do you mean, you don't trust them?
I was trying not to say that exactly, but.
Okay.
Just to clarify, the capital outlay note, we could pay off any time.
You can. You can pay it off any time. Unless you unless you can get a call provision in there. There's usually one in there for 10 years. Unless you can get one in there at 5.
And there'll be an additional cost for that, correct?
Possibly, but, you know, if you're in this environment that I just told you that, well, y'all can use mortgage rates if you want to. I don't know those that well, but, I mean, I just told you that your borrowing rate just recently went from 55,000 per million to 70,000 per million. I would say in 6 months, it'll be something higher than that. 6 months after that, it'll be something higher than that, unless something dramatically changes. You know, it just scares me because again, I don't think we can pay for $50 million for 5 years.
Okay, well, that doesn't affect what we're really trying
It
to
doesn't.
accomplish. So I'm sorry, I should have asked that later. So we'll go back to the 6.7.
I mean, that's my number one plan for how to get it done. I don't think anything really suffers greatly. So that's my number one. I mean, you asked for everything, including taxes. So, I mean, there's 2 tax options. You need roughly 4 cents. So you could raise the tax rate roughly 4 cents. You could, you could pay for it out of AFT for a couple of years, which I really don't recommend. Not AFT, excuse me, ARP. I really don't recommend that, but if you wanted to do that and give yourself time to run a referendum on a will tax, public safety, something like that, I guess you could. I mean, obviously, I like the option I proposed, or I wouldn't have proposed it. So, but I'm open to whatever you guys want to talk about.
Does that fund the total pay plan?
It would.
Mr. Marlowe?
Yes, sir.
So just so you know that we're on the same page here, on the school issue that we're talking about, the only reason that we bring that up, whether we choose a 5-year capital outlay or a bond or whatever, there's no need for a tax increase for that.
No.
And we wanted you to know that going in. He'll determine, or will determine, what is the best to bring to you for your consideration at the time that we need to do that. But it's not anything for us to address today, and we'll agree whatever we think is the best to bring to you on that part. Second thing I think that I'd like to back up and thank Mr. Maynard for his work. We knew that revenues have been good, but he spent the last week and a half trying to prove himself wrong on this. Because he knows that, the easiest thing to do would be to say, let's raise taxes. We haven't done that but twice in 14 years. Let's do that. At the same time, he values that we have citizens here that if we have revenue, it would be almost a sin to tax them when it's there. But he is very cautious. That's why he spent, like I said, about a week and a half trying to prove this wrong. But it's there. He knows it's there, and does a tremendous job of what he does. And so I think for you and the taxpayers, that is a good thing, to be able to do this for your employees and not require tax increase on them.
Mayor, I sincerely appreciate that, and the better part of 3 weeks. And I ran it, and then I got May numbers as far as I could get them, and I reran it, and then I got May numbers as far as I could get them, and I reran it, and I looked at what I was projecting for June again and again.
Sir, for the record, could you make that a month?
Aaron, what is the one thing, is there any one thing that scares you, though, or that you have concerns about doing what you've proposed?
At present, no. So worst case scenario, if I'm wrong, debt service has plenty of money to take care of it, okay? It's 30-something million, which it should be. If you can't do anything else, you won't be able to make your debt payments, right? Capital projects, I realize that's a nice place for us to go and get stuff, but if we couldn't, we'd live. I mean, we'd figure out a way. I don't think capital projects is going to drop and go away. I mean, your wild card factor in this is development. That's your wild card factor. Because as long as development is going through the roof and motel tax, adequate facilities tax is coming in like crazy, you're good. If development slows, if you see a significant economic slowdown, and in no case is what we propose going to be harmful to you in the next 12 to 18 months, okay? But we didn't see, shame on us, I guess, if you're in this room and you saw the 2008 financial crisis coming before it hit, congratulations. If you're in this room and you saw COVID before it hit, congratulations. I don't think there's anything proposed here that puts us in a negative position in the next 18 to 24 months. And I don't think it puts us in a negative position at all. But that being said, I'm always going to be, I think eventually you're going to see these surplus numbers, they're just not real. How do I know they're not real? Because, Lance Howell is as tight with a penny as anybody I know, okay?
No, he's tight with a penny.
That's true. And we're not even going to talk about Jim Major. That's a different conversation. Yeah. Yes.
That's tight right there.
When Lance calls me up and says, I can't spend any vehicle money because they tell me it's going to be, I don't even remember how long he said, forever before I can get vehicles. And that's not always going to be the case, guys. I mean, we are going to get returned to normal levels of spending, and, I don't think we're going to continue to. It is not my goal. If it's your goal, then we'll have a conversation, and I want to do, I want to work for you. It's not my goal to tuck $5 million away every year. That's not what I'm trying to do. Okay? I don't want to go backwards on a regular basis because we can't survive that way. But these last 2 years, I mean, They're just weird.
Okay, concerning, just stay there. They're not gonna ask me. Concerning the pay plan then, questions?
Question. The solid waste and roads, in other words, we're taking their growth money to help fund the pay plan. We're not really granting them any additional.
And we don't have to do that. We could leave them their growth money and pay the additional money that they would need. Hold on, I'll get that for you.
The reason that concerns me is just, of course, y'all know I deal with the roads, and the cost of everything is skyrocketing.
Sure.
So if we take the growth money that they've counted on, we may not be able to pay as much or do as much, and I'm sure the landfill will be the same way.
Yeah. So I got to find the right pages here, Tommy. Forgive me. I gave myself too many papers this time.
So roads, you talking about that 538,000? And solid waste was 145,000?
Yes.
That's their growth money they would receive if we weren't.
Well, roads, the pay plan for roads, according to the pay study, folks, was $450,622. So. Do I have my phone over here?
They got 470.
What's that?
470. I'm right.
Divided by, I'm sorry, let me. $622 times 1.1965. Is that divided by 635,000 for a penny? Whoops. So that would be 0.84 cents that roads would need. 0.849.
An additional 0.84.
That would be a total. 0.849 would be what they would need in total.
If we,
Put her on the spot, but Sharon, you want to speak to this about the need we have for the growth money?
Well, I think Aaron and I have spoke about it. Of course, we would like to have all the money we can get.
That's every department.
Our first priority is our employees. We want to do the pay plan for them. We can make it work with what he's presenting. Now, to pave a mile, it has went up this year from 100,000 to 150,000, as well as fuel and everything else. So we decided that we may have to cut back some next year.
That's what I'm talking about.
Because we want to fund the pay plan. So we will take what we can get. We would be happy to have it all. If we can have it, just like we voted.
Well, and we've got, I've got a sheet of paper somewhere that I'm also having, it's kind of the perfect time to bring it up. Here it is. We got a call from Cindy Lynch earlier today. And one of the things that happened to us, what department was it we put the fuel out to bid for, LaBrania?
This morning or last week?
Last week.
That was landfill.
We put fuel out to bid for the landfill, and they came back and said it cost this much and we'll deliver it tomorrow. And then they got back to us and said, we can't deliver it tomorrow. There's just not any fuel in your area. We can't get it to you. And then they sent an email and said, no fuel deliveries until further notice. Okay? So she had another problem today. What was her issue exactly? Do you remember exactly what her issue was?
So we had to send out a new bid for the road department for fuel.
Yep.
Same responses, except for when I finally got somebody on the phone, they actually agreed, but they couldn't give me a price until like 8 o'clock in the morning.
Ah.
Puts out my bid.
That's right.
So I don't have
So we can't bid fuel right now. Basically, we got to take delivery from whoever can actually deliver it. They'll tell us at 8 o'clock in the morning what they can deliver it for tomorrow. So she tells me today via email According to my estimates, if diesel fuel stays around $7 a gallon, I could be $224,200 short on next year's budget. I'm estimating high because of the uncertain future.
Say that again, I missed the numbers.
If diesel fuel stays around $7 a gallon, I could be $224,200 short on next year's budget. I'm estimating high because of the uncertain future.
We hadn't reached $7 a gallon yet.
No.
If we didn't take the growth money from roads and solid waste, what would be the option?
We would continue down the same road we just went down. We would continue to take more out of debt service and replace it with more out of capital projects. It just means you're 12 million in capital projects. Again, construction, you may even see greater than what you saw. I'm of the mindset when I'm budgeting, and I had a conversation with a commissioner about this not long ago. In fact, just within the last week. You know, I have a hard time budgeting. This is the wrong fund to see taxes. Well, just in theory, let's talk about the adequate facilities tax real quick. I mean, do you want to pretend like next year's going to be 20% more than this year? I don't believe it, but it could be. I mean, I tend to think that the real estate market is going to start to fade, so I tend to budget a little bit below, just thinking, you know, it's bound to slow down sometime, right?
It's getting ready to.
I guess the reason I'm asking about roads and solid waste, because if we take their growth money, and I know our idea is to make sure we adequately fund the pay plan, but if we take their growth money, that's a possibility that we're taking away from communities in the public.
Sure.
And I'm not sure I want to do that.
I understand you completely, sir. And have no problem. I was giving you the most cost-effective, if not the most, well, at least the most cost-effective for the pay plan. Maybe not the most cost-effective overall.
Yeah. Do what?
One more question.
Sure.
Now, back to the new positions. This is why I wanted to move them to this point. If we didn't fund all those positions, we wouldn't have to do this, would we, Aaron? Correct?
That may be, sir. I did not memorize the total on the new positions. You're probably right.
Now, I didn't say that we won't take all of them, I don't think.
Yeah. I mean,
But that's why I was wanting to, before we approve them, to
yeah.
realize what we need.
Yeah, I mean, all I can tell you for a fact is that you need $2.5 million to make it work. That I can tell you. Where you get it from, whether it's not hiring any new employees or, I mean, it needs to be a recurring number. That much we know. We're talking about recurring expenses here.
Mr. Marlowe,
Yes.
let me add a perspective to it. I think it's important. We're also talking out of the landfill and the roads. You're talking this minimal amount. Both have decent fund balances.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking 1 year of surviving this to be able to take care of your pay plan. It's not every year they're going to do that. So I mean, we're talking over the next 12 months, we're back in the same thing, and growth money's coming back in. And I don't know what their fund balance is. I hadn't read it lately, but it's pretty healthy.
Yeah.
I can look it up, I guess. But so for both of those, sometimes they have more than I got. So I think we could survive a year on what he's saying. It's not year after year we're talking about this. It's talking about getting through this the next 12 months. Again, your call, but that's just my thinking.
I would never intentionally propose anything that would be harmful to any department. If I didn't think, again, as I'm looking and I'm taking X number of $1 million away from debt service, I'm not thinking about again, as the mayor said, sometimes I get so used to looking at millions, the 300,000 seems minimal.
And I do believe this too, that, if Mr. Murphy asks us, or Sharon asks us to do something, or Cindy, with the fund balances that we have today at 27 million and 13 in capital, we're gonna do what it takes to get by this year coming up. They're both pretty healthy as well.
We got
But,
a really nice general fund, so we don't want to deplete it, but.
but just, I know Sharon, as Commissioner Smith said, she wants to take care of her employees and appreciate the sacrifice, and I think that's a good thing for all of us.
I mean, the amount needed is 3.1, and the extra employees is a 2.2. So we're about $1 million away from that number anyway.
Realistically, you feel good though about your plan?
I do, sir. I honestly would not present it if I wasn't comfortable with it.
All in all, I think what I've heard and what I've seen, we definitely need to do this for our employees, and we've been presented with a way to do it without significantly sacrificing anything in county government. And I'd like to make a motion to approve the pay plan as presented.
Second.
And I'm going to clarify, that is with allowing roads and solid waste, their growth money to return to them. No?
Leave it the way it is.
Leave it the way it is.
Okay, we do have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None opposed, it's unanimous. Okay, one last thing. I think you brought this up earlier, that do we need to discuss the fact that what we approved, we're short about $47,000?
45 and some change, and Aaron, that's not really a major deal.
I mean, you're looking at a possibility of going in, 45,000. Worst case scenario, you go an extra 45,000, or you go 45,000 in the hole, which you may not go in the hole at all.
And then with the positions that we talked about putting a hold on until we actually adopted codes and that kind of stuff, that extra money will not be spent because we don't have anybody to spend it on, so we should be awash there. Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there any other questions or comments that needs to come from the Budget Committee?
We do have a budget committee, normal, regular scheduled budget committee on the 9th. Mr. Maynard will let us know if we need to have that one or not at that time. This will, and Mr. Mayor, I know you have a lot of work to get done, thanks to the budget committee, a lot of work to get done to be able to put this in the paper by the Monday, you and LeBron, so I appreciate your work on that.
Thank you, guys. I know it's a lot.
Being that we've approved this, I understand there'll be no need to have a meeting tomorrow or Thursday.
Not in my opinion.
One more motion.
Motion to adjourn.
We are adjourned.